One of the benefits of getting older is having the freedom to quit the things that no longer serve you. So today, I'm going to share 10 things that I quit after the age of 50 that I wish I had quit a heck of a lot sooner. But before we get started, my name is Carrie Stone, and this is Carry On, where we talk all things money, movement, and mindset. Today, we're talking 10 things that I just removed from my life because they no longer served me. Starting with number one, which was people pleasing. Yes, I quit people pleasing. I'm the youngest of three girls, and I was born into the position of pleasing everyone. And I don't know if it was the fact that my mom died 5 months before my 50th birthday. And let's face it, we like to please our mothers, and I'm no different. I really liked seeing my mom happy. When she died, I kind of lost my footing a little bit, but also with that, I started suddenly having the freedom just to make decisions that were best for my immediate family. And there was just so much power in that position again of not feeling the need to please everyone. And you know what I learned? All these years I had been trying so hard to please everybody, those people were never pleased. But in the process, I was hurting the very people who matter the most to me. And now that's all I think about. And I realize when I am doing what is best for my home, my husband, and my family, then everything else around me falls into place too. So I quit people pleasing. And I think you should too. Number two, I quit watching the news. I survived, as you did, the 2016 election, the 2020 election, and the worldwide pandemic. But it got to be too much. I found I was sad, depressed, anxious, fretful, worried about the future. It was insane. And I started thinking, why am I poisoning my brain like this? I'm normally a very happy, joyful, positive person, and I was just not. So I cut out the news, and my life has been so much better as a result. So I quit watching the news, which leads me to number three. I quit judging people based on their political party. When I was a kid, my mom had the rule at family functions we did not discuss politics or religion. And I'm starting to think we should go back to that. Social media has completely changed how we look at politics, and I don't think it's healthy. Back in the day, your vote was between you and the ballot box. People didn't discuss how they voted. It was a private and personal thing. And I think that's good. I think a person should be judged by their character and how they treat other people. I don't want to know a person's political affiliations because no matter what you do, you will judge them. And I don't think that's how we should look at our fellow man. So I quit judging people based on their political affiliations, and I hope people will treat me the same way. Number four, I quit saying we can't afford. Have you been there? Be honest. How many of you grew up hearing we can't afford? Yeah, it is not a healthy way to look at money. A few years ago, my daughter was applying for colleges, and she said to me, I really want to go to this school, but I can't afford it. So what's the point in applying? And that's when I realized I had poisoned her brain. I had done the same thing that had happened to me and that had been happening for generations. I killed her dreams by saying things like, we can't afford it. So I looked at her and I said, "You stop it. You apply to whatever schools you want to go to. And if you're meant to go there, nothing will keep you from going there." And guess where she ended up going to college? And at that college, she met her husband. So I think she made a good choice and she didn't give up on her dreams. And I hope that she learned from that to never say, we can't afford. So stop killing your financial dreams and stop saying we can't afford it. Choose other wording instead. We choose not to buy this right now. That's not a priority to us right now. Reword your sentences and your questions and make them more positive. And number 5, I stopped making long, impossible to-do lists. Back in the day, I always had a 3-ring binder with paper that has 25 lines and 50 if you put a line down the middle, which I did. And I would fill in all 50 lines and I would go to bed each night feeling like a complete failure. And it bothered me so much that if I would actually do something that wasn't on the list, I would write it on the list just so I could check it off and prove to myself that I wasn't as big of a failure as I thought I was. Well, that was not serving me well. So I quit doing that to myself. And I started making my list on Post-it notes. And now I go to bed at night feeling like I've accomplished things and I feel good about myself and what I've done with my day. And speaking of to-do lists, have you liked, subscribed, and hit that notification bell below? It would really help me so much if you would do that. And it tells YouTube that you like what I'm putting out. And it helps me to see what things you enjoy so I know what I should do more of. And for those people pleasers who are going to give up people pleasing after this video, could you just wait until the end of the video and go ahead and please me by hitting like, subscribe, and the notification bell? I would so greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Number 6, I quit beating myself up. I quit talking to myself like I would never talk to another living soul. I stopped calling myself an idiot and ugly and fat and all the nice things we tend to say to ourselves. I've been reading this book called The Inner Game of Tennis, and it says in that book that you have to be really conscious of how self one talks to self two. And I've started applying a lot of the principles I've gotten from that book. And I have to tell you, it is quite profound how much your life changes when you stop beating yourself up. So now when I do something wrong or mess up, I'll say things like, well, that was a creative way to attempt that. And when I'm looking at myself in the mirror, instead of like begroaning and complaining about my stretch marks or my mommy's medal, I'll just look at myself and go, wow, look at you. You were never supposed to be able to have children. And look, you have stretch marks and a mommy's medal to prove that you actually carried 2 children. Isn't that beautiful? See, there's nicer ways to talk to ourselves. And I think it's important that if we're going to live out our best lives, we have to be a lot nicer to ourselves and stop talking to yourself in a way that you would never talk to anyone else. Number 7, I stopped buying cheap. I will not buy cheap toilet paper or tissues. I mean, come on, you buy cheap toilet paper, you have to use twice as much of it. And can we just talk about how much that hurts? Like it feels like sandpaper. And the same thing with tissue. So you get a cold and that's the only time you really use a tissue. And suddenly you're rubbing sandpaper on your face. It's awful and it's mean to do to yourself. So after a while, I just started realizing I am wasting so much money by buying cheap. So I don't buy cheap paper products or cheap dish soap, clothing that you'll wear 5 times and then it'll end up in the landfill somewhere. I stopped and I realized I would rather have fewer pieces of clothing and have better ones. Now, mind you, I like a good deal and I will find a good deal on the good things that I buy, but I am not sacrificing by buying cheap. Just won't do it. If I have a choice between one nice bottle of wine a month and $2 chuck every day, I'll take that one nice bottle of wine. Thank you very much, because I quit buying cheap. Number 8, I quit carrying the guilt of relationships that didn't last. For years, I have taken on the responsibility of every relationship I have. And I found that it seems like the phone only works for me when I call out. But apparently, other people don't know how to call in. That's what it seems. And so all these years, I just kept taking all the responsibility. And when people made it impossible to be friends with them, and then would call me blaming me for not keeping up the friendship, I would just be like, oh, you're right. I'm awful. And I would take on all the responsibility. Well, guess what? Relationships require effort on both sides. And something I realized too is not all relationships are meant to last forever. That some relationships are just in our lives for a reason and just for a season. And so we can't beat ourselves up when they don't go on. I'm grateful for the lifelong relationships I've had with people, and I'm grateful for the new relationships that I have with people. But I am no longer carrying the guilt of relationships that didn't stay. And number 9, I quit letting my calendar control me. You know, I used to just let the days happen. And I think I got into that habit because I was sick for a long time. And when I would make plans, my body often failed me and I felt guilty. And so I stopped making plans and I started just living day to day, basically surviving. And one day I just realized this is not serving me. So I started making plans for my weekdays. And then my weekends would come, and I realized I fell back into the same pattern of just letting the weekends happen. And then I would get to the end of the weekend and feel like a failure because I just saw all the wasted opportunity. So now I plan every single solitary day. And my plans don't always go through. Yesterday, I had plans and I ended up not feeling good and had to rest all afternoon. And that was okay because I made that decision still. And I worked my day around it and I still got things done. So I no longer let the calendar control me and I control the calendar. And finally, number 10, I quit putting off my dreams. You know, when you're a mom and a wife, you spend your life just helping everybody else accomplish their dreams. And that's awesome. And it's beautiful. And it's a lovely thing to do. But there comes a time where you have to let your kids go and either fly or fail on their own. But there comes a time where you just need to take your own chances, where you need to check your own wings and see if you can fly, where you need to try things and fail, and then try more things and succeed. And dreams are beautiful. And the great thing about pursuing dreams is you stay young. I don't feel 55. I feel 27. I feel alive and excited and happy and joyful. And I am just overwhelmed with possibilities. And I want that for you too. And if you want to learn how to transform your life and live your dreams, check out these videos right here. So those are the 10 things that I've quit since I turned 50. I would love to hear the things that you plan to quit. And I'd love to also hear what age you're quitting them. Because if I could quit some of these things a long time ago, I sure would have. And my life would have been a lot better. So share in the comments below the things that you want to quit, the things that you have quit. Let's inspire one another. And until next time, carry on.